Several years ago, Jeff Buck and I did some research looking at MBA students and grit. We were trying to find some correlation which was there that others hadn't found. Without a whole lot of difficulty, most of us can think of two students. One of them is a student who, during the course of a 2-year program, had every single member of their family, both nuclear and extended, pass away. And even though they had so many deaths and so much tragedy in their life, they never missed a single night or day of coursework. The second student we know is the person who had a dog that threw up on the living room rug, and because of that they were forced to drop out of the program and won't be considering it again for another couple of years to come. So we were trying to find if there was some way to identify those two types of individuals before the program began and kind of factor that into admissions. We didn't find anything that others haven't already found, so grit has been well studied, well looked at. There was nothing new that we came up with in that regard. What we did find, though, is we did find that there was a change in the mindset between MBA students going into the program and finishing the program. Many times, if you talk to students before they began the program, they expressed worry about how they would do in it, but they were eager to learn and they were willing to stretch themselves a little bit. They would say things like, I know I probably won't do well in accounting or finance because that's a weak area of mine, but I'm hoping to get better at that. I just hope that I pass it. That was it before they began the program. At the end of the program, towards the end of it, what they were worried about was getting an A. Everything became the A. They had to have an A in every course that they took. Well, an A represents exemplary. An A represents perfection. An A is the highest you could possibly attain. Having straight A's, having a 4.0 average, means that you knew everything there was to know, and we really didn't teach you anything. So unless grade inflation is occurring, which most often is the case, you weren't really getting anything out of it by having that 4.0 average all the way through. And that change, that transition from I hope I stretch myself and learn to I just better get an A out of this was something very troubling which was there. The same thing I think is true in the DBA program. I think in the DBA program sometimes we become too focused on the grade, too focused on that GPA, too focused on that 4.0, that A that has to be there, and we forget that the entire purpose of the program is to learn something. It is to stretch. It is to go outside of your boundary zones a little bit there. Dr. Mike Weiss several years ago had a saying which was to embrace the B, and students for a couple of years made t-shirts that had that on there. His focus being that the key is learning, that the process is everything, and you need to be comfortable with the process and not focused on the grade. And there's a lot of enormous wisdom in that particular viewpoint of things. If you came out of the program with a 4.0 with straight A's, it means that you were exemplary in every one of the areas which we cover. In our DBA program, we have conceptual foundations that we look at in accounting and finance and management and marketing and econ. It would be very difficult to have a 4.0 and then not have to struggle and to learn something that you didn't already know there. In our program, we reward the stretching, we reward the process by saying that you are allowed to have 2 grades below a B minus. A D, as in dog, is a passing grade. You can have 2 grades below a B minus as long as your cumulative GPA after 15 courses is a 3.0. As long as that is the case, you still will finish the program. You still will finish the coursework, still be eligible for comp, still be eligible for dissertation. There's an old saying about the person in medical school who graduates at the bottom of the class is still called doctor. And the same thing is true with our program. The person who finishes with a 3.01 in coursework and still passes comps and still passes dissertation is still called doctor. When you finish, people care about the degree that you earn. They're not going to care about what grade you got in econ. So focus on going outside your comfort zone. Focus on learning. Focus on the process. Focus on getting something out of the time that you're here, and forget about focusing so much on that grade and that GPA, which really doesn't mean anything at this particular level. It's more important at the GPA or at the undergraduate level where you can get ribbons and bows and things to wear around you. That's important down there. At the doctorate level, it's not important. It's important to get something out of your time, to get something out of your energy, to get something out of your effort. And if you focus on that and look at it from that standpoint, you'll be so much better off in this program than if you're only worried about that GPA.